Morning, Joseph.
Morning, Ali.
So good to have you here in Canning Town. We're going to have a conversation about your life in politics as a councillor in Hackney, just down the road here in East London. You do a lot in the politic movement across East London.
Yeah.
You're also on the Unionist Black Members Committee.
Yes, that's correct.
A member of a homeless charity here or on the board.
Yes.
So much more. Anyway, why don't you introduce yourself and we'll take it from there.
Yeah, so hi, I'm Joseph Organdoorian. I am the Labour councillor in Hackney Wick. I was elected last year. I sit on the board of Your Place, which was formerly known as Caritas Anchor House, which is a homelessness charity in Newham. I've been doing that for coming up to 2 years now. I work in the housing sector, so I'm a building safety manager. So what my focus is to ensure nothing like Grenfell happens again in the organisation I work for, which is really important and kind of gives residents that reassurance that we are checking and inspecting the building and making sure the buildings are safe. And as you mentioned, I also do work within Unison. I sit on the Regional Black Members Committee. I am the chair of the Housing Association branch, and I'm really active within the trade union movement in terms of fighting for workers' rights, but also fighting for the rights of all people, irrespective of their protected characteristics.
Amazing. You're a busy
guy.
man.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the beginning.
Yeah.
As early far back as you want.
Yeah.
In Hackney, growing up, what was your first exposure to politics?
Well, I grew up. My parents came in the 80s as immigrants from Nigeria, and I always saw like they were kind of involved in politics, and they would always say to me, "Oh, vote Labour, vote Labour, vote Labour." It's like, when you see red, just vote. So from 16, just vote in Labour. Didn't really understand politics that well, to be honest. But then it's through getting into employment and the sort of negative experiences I encountered in the workplace in terms of workplace discrimination or being treated a particular way. I didn't feel okay with it, so I decided to join a union. So at the time I was working in retail, and I joined USDOR, but I didn't see that there was much happening in USDOR. Then when I moved into working in housing, that's when...
And how long ago was that?
When I started moving to housing. So I moved into housing in 2011. It was
Cool.
when I got
over
into...
a decade experience in housing.
Yes, in housing. But I joined the trade union in, let's say, 2014, but I became very, very active in terms of 2016, in terms of representing members, because I was getting extremely frustrated in the workplace, but then I saw there was a lot of reps that didn't look like me, and I felt that they did not understand the sort of intersectionality that can be involved in trade union disputes. So that's why I thought I would input myself in that, and since then I've been very effective for members within my organisation, and just giving that sort of diversity and encouraging other reps that are not from my background, letting them know, like giving them a better insight in terms of the experiences we face as
making
diverse
sure our experiences
communities.
are being fed into decision making,
Exactly.
advocacy.
Exactly.
Because if you're not there, it's not always guaranteed that someone's speaking up for people of your community.
Yes, because for me, what is important is that everybody's different. We've all got our own individual minds, but diversity in decision-making positions is vital and important, and kind of gives that creativity in thought, because there is a saying that you can't give what you don't have, and if you have the right people on the table, seated at the table, then you're able to give back better, and to a wider group of people.
Yeah, and we've been speaking beforehand where you kind of said that you, growing up in Hackney, the role models available to black men were a little bit limited. Do you want to talk about that?
Yes, so it's an unfortunate set of circumstances where, growing up as a black man in London, the role models you have are sort of negative or not conducive stereotypes of what a black man should be. So I respect athletes, and if anybody wants to be an athlete and aspire to being an athlete, that's a great thing to do. But those are one of the role models we have, or we have drug dealers, gangsters, people committing crime and things like that. And we don't necessarily have professionals in terms of black male professionals as role models that we can look up to. And I saw that, you know what, there is a gap here, and I can either sit down on my sofa and be a couch critic, or I can roll up my sleeves and actually get myself involved and be a voice for the community. But it's not only about being a voice for the community, but try to be an inspiration for the next generation, so that people like me growing up can be like, okay, do you know what, if Joseph can do it, why can't I do it?
Amazing. Okay, cool. Amazing. So yeah, understanding your inspiration. So what's Hackney been like? My experiences of Hackney Wick Market and Hackney at large. You know, we could say a lot about that. I don't know if I've broken that. No, I think we're okay. Yeah. But yeah, your early experiences.
Hackney is a fantastic place. I've lived in Hackney all of my life, coming up to 40 years now, showing my age.
You look good for 40, by the way.
Thank you. It's the cocoa butter. Hackney has changed, but for me, Hackney has made me who I am today. So you tend to find people that say, okay, my parents came over as immigrants, we grew up on a council estate, but we made our way through and all of that sort of stuff. Like, to me, that comes across like it's a bad thing to live on a council estate or come from that background. But for me, that is actually a good thing, and that has made me a more well-rounded person. So in Hackney, you've got very diverse community. You've got people from West Indian heritage, people from African heritage. You've got the Sharadi Jewish community. You've also got English, Irish, people from all over the globe. You will definitely find in Hackney. In terms of cuisines, you'll find all those various cuisines in Hackney. You would find the best Chinese in Hackney. The best.
It sounds like there's a specific Chinese takeaway you've got in mind when you say
that. Yes.
I saw a glint in your eye.
Yeah, I don't want to give them free publicity, but
they're there.
They're there. But then, what was, I guess, frustrating for me growing up was that I could see. Well, there was a lot of gentrification in Hackney, which kind of shifted the demographic in terms of the people that lived in Hackney, but it got a bit frustrating because it appeared that certain voices were being heard more than other people, and it felt like the voices of black people, West Indian people, African people was not being championed within the borough. And I felt that, you know what, actually let me get involved and see how I can sort of speak up for the community and be an inspiration, but also ensure that when decisions are being made that affect the residents of Hackney, there is a perspective of diverse communities in the decision-making process.
Yeah. Let's talk about you being a black man in politics now. At a number of levels, with charities, with housing, community considerations, and housing is a big issue across London. And then also in the unions. Unfortunately, I don't think there are many examples of black men in those positions. How has it been? What are the kind of challenges, and why do you still do it?
For me, I would link this back to my upbringing, being a Nigerian. I'm of the Yoruba tribe, and we're very proud of our heritage and who we are, and we're known to be go-getters. That's the way I was raised. And shout out to my mum and my dad that have been positive, encouraging, positive inspirations. Yeah, positive inspirations for myself. Now, the thing is, for me, I understand being in the minority in the UK, it can be extremely difficult to circumnavigate various environments and political spaces, in the trade union, in the workplace. But for me, I am not one to let my views or other people's views on how I will be discriminated against, may or may not be discriminated against, affect me. I strive to be my authentic self, and I feel that being my authentic self has been positive for me in those various environments, within the trade unions, within the workplace, within labour politics. Now, I appreciate we all have, as a black man, I appreciate we all have our own lived experiences as black men. We also have shared experiences, but within politics, I can say, hand on heart, my experiences as a black man have been positive. And for me, I don't have an issue having a different view to another person, but for me, it's about being able to disagree respectfully, but being your authentic self. And that's actually worked for me. And me, I don't put any sentiment in it. I roll up my sleeves, get stuck in, try to be the best version of myself. And that is actually what has worked for me. And for me, it's also about understanding the written and unwritten rules, because I think in politics a lot of people think that, okay, do you know what, we've got written rules and we need to read the rule book and all of that sort of stuff, and that's good, but there's also unwritten rules, there's the dark arts of politics and all those sorts of things, and you need to kind of understand that. You need to be able to think critically, you need to be open to exploring new ideas, open to having various conversations, even difficult conversations. But in politics, within the trade union, within the workplace, something that is similar is teamwork. And there is no I in team. You have to be willing to roll up your sleeves. Yes,
large coalition of people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Some of them may have the same fundamental views as you, like being in the same political movement, being in the same trade union, but there are certain areas where they may have different views, but we can agree to disagree as long as we do it respectfully, and I think that is what has worked for me.
So tell us how that's been in the Unison movement. So you're a Unison Black Members Committee member.
Yep.
How has that been? Because a racial movement within a union, I'd love to hear your experiences of that.
Yep, so Unison is the biggest trade union within the UK at the moment, and it tends to service employees that work mainly in the public sector. And within Unison, there isn't really many black senior men within the trade union movement. We have been fantastic with black women at the top, or women from other ethnic minority backgrounds. They've been very, very successful at Unison, but there has been an issue there with men. But the thing, in spite of that, Unison has a system which is called self-organized groups. So members are allowed to organize based on protected characteristics. So you've got the black workers section of Unison, you've got the disabled members section, you've got retired members section, you've got LGBTQ plus section, you've got the women's sections and stuff like that. And with the black section, or black workers section, we are the biggest section out of all the trade unions in Europe, is my understanding. We've got 185,000 members.
Amazing.
And we hold a massive conference every year where all black members come together to debate policy ideas and see how we can get more out of the trade union, but also raise our concerns.
Yeah, and particularly concerns which sometimes get lost in the wider trade union conversation.
Yeah.
Let's move on slightly, because I understand with those experiences, again, we've spoken privately, and you understand there's a tension. Me being a civil servant, I can't be too political on camera, at least.
Yep.
But there are ambitions maybe to take that representation to the next level. Do you want to talk about that? And maybe I think it's connected to why we're here in Canning Town.
Yes. So I have aspirations to become a member of parliament one day, because there isn't a lot of faces like mine there, and for me, I think there is a lot that I can bring in terms of my perspective, being from a working class background, my strong trade union movement, but also the work that I do within housing in regards to building safety, but also where I'm a trustee on a homelessness charity, because we
Just around the corner there in Canning Town.
because we are facing extreme issues with homelessness within this country. I haven't seen it as bad as this, where you have so many people sleeping on the streets. It's a travesty. We need a Labour government that can really address this issue, because for the past 13 years we've had failures from the Tory government in regards to this. And the thing is, East London is a very diverse place. London is diverse, but for me, I feel it would be good to see opportunities for black men, but people from diverse backgrounds, to be able to put themselves forward and stand up for their communities and show what they're able to bring to the party.
Do you think there is a pipeline issue, so not enough black men coming through, or a kind of receiving issue where not enough black men being selected to the highest levels of representation?
I think there's the issues in terms of representation, I think, is multifaceted, and I feel maybe as black men within the Labour Party, they've felt burnt, and because of that they're disillusioned to put themselves forward for certain positions. Maybe they've faced discrimination, or they've given up. But me, I see myself as someone that if I get knocked back, I'll dust myself off, pick myself up, and continue to go again. But the thing is, I think with the party, there needs to be more conversations with the community in terms of how we can nurture talent and create opportunities. Now, it's good and positive to see the Bernie Grant program relaunched, and we're excited to see what comes out of that. And it's fantastic to see the work that has been being done with anti-black discrimination within the rule book, and how the party is going to address that, and looking at how the party is going to set up like its own sort of black members conferences, the way Unison does its conferences. So these things are really excited, but I think we need to be able to work together. There needs to be more conversations with the party, with the community, in terms of how we can put our minds together and really nurture that talent, and show the community that Labour actually does care about them, and Labour really wants them to come forward to be the next sort of MPs, next Mayor of London, and things like this. Maybe next Prime Minister, who knows?
Yeah, well, I mean, you're just shuffle across just so we got you in shot.
Okay.
Yeah, you're. I'm definitely feeling your energy and ambition. We definitely wish you all the best. Maybe just a few more words on that, because you are aiming high, and you've spoken about some of the challenges other people have faced. What's your approach to kind of overcoming those challenges? And maybe for a younger person watching this who is seeing that energy and ambition, kind of what would you encourage them to do if and when they face those challenges?
For me, what I try to strive to do is, I know it may sound cliche, is thinking out of the box. So if I try a method and to achieve something that I want to achieve, and it doesn't work, I go back and I re-strategize and think that, okay, how can I try another way? Or how can I have conversations with other people? How can I rephrase my conversation, my ideas, and things like that? But I think when you get knocked back, you shouldn't just take it that okay, that's it, game over, they just don't want me, or I'm never going to be a success. Go back, re-strategize, see it as a lesson. And that's what I try to do. I see it as a lesson rather than seeing it as a setback or a failure. And I think by shifting my mindset, it allows me to kind of persevere and push forward. And me, I'm a very determined person. I can't just rely on myself. There's other people that support me and help me and give me encouragement through the conversations that I have and things like that. But you have to be open.
Yeah.
You have to be open, and you have to be committed. And the thing is, I would also say, and I hope this doesn't sound cliche, we are in an era, and I think loads of people may have not tapped into it, but it's not necessarily about working hard. It's about working smart. And if you work smart, you can actually get quite far. And I'm not necessarily saying that by working smart you're not a hard worker, but I think there should be more of a shift to working smart as opposed to working hard.
Let's shift gears a little bit now and focus on your specialism, your subject expertise of housing.
Yeah.
We hear it constantly, and whether it's housing issue in London, needing more housing stock. What are you doing in Hackney to address that? And what are your bigger ideas about the housing crisis generally, housing policy generally?
So we're in an unfortunate set of circumstances where we've got limited funds in terms of what the central government is giving Hackney and other boroughs within London. And also we have the challenges that London is predominantly a built-up area, but then we do have a lot of brownfield sites across London, but in Hackney, and we are basically rebuilding on that land. We've got garages that have been disused, so we're reclaiming the garages to build more housing. Now, there isn't enough land, but we're doing as much as we can with the limited spaces that we've got. We've had to kind of rejig our homelessness, revamp our homelessness strategy, also our housing register, because as you'll appreciate, across London the housing registers are extremely oversubscribed. There is so many families wanting bigger accommodation due to overcrowding and things like that. But I think in Hackney we are doing what we can to try our best to kind of tackle that issue and provide more sustainable, suitable homes for our residents, but also environmentally friendly homes. Because in my day job as a building safety manager, we have seen a lot of new builds built post 2000s have not been built to the required standards. Now we have the Building Safety Act, and a lot of organisations, housing associations and councils have to ensure that their buildings are of the required standard, and that's a positive thing. It's unfortunate that we had to have all of this following Grenfell, and my sympathies goes out to all of the people affected by Grenfell or some other sorts of Grenfell issues and things like that within the housing sector. But what we need to do in this country is see how we can provide more suitable homes for people to really live their full potential. A kid shouldn't be growing up where they're having to not experience having their own bedroom. Everybody's probably cramped up in one room, living in a hostel bedsit, and all of these things. We need to be innovative with how we're producing more homes. We probably need to build a bit more up. Well, in London we're having to build up, and we can't really build but we really need to be creative in terms of how we're going to be addressing this issue. And Hackney are trying to do what they can with the limited funds available to us.
Amazing. We're almost out of time, okay. But let's just circle back a little bit again to your ambition for the green benches, and specifically again where we are now in Canning Town.
Yep.
Other areas, Plaistow, West Ham, Beckton. Just maybe a word on your connection to the area and what the ambition is, as much as you feel comfortable saying, as much as recognising I'm a civil servant as well, so can't be too politically active on camera, but go for it, Joseph.
Yeah. So as I said, I'm an East Londoner, Hackney, born and raised, stone throw away from Newham. I have local connections to Newham, being on the homelessness charity and seeing how we're addressing or how we can contribute and positively address the homelessness issues in Newham. Now, due to the Boundary Commission's review, my understanding is that there will be a third MP seat opening up in West Ham and Beckton. I've seen there's a fabulous website that's been developed for West Ham and Beckton that kind of shows the new wards. And for me, I would like to have the opportunity to be able to apply for that position, and I'm looking forward and hoping that the party will make it available for members of the community to be able to apply for that position and be interviewed and show the Labour Party what we're able to offer, but also show members what we're able to offer, and hopefully members will select a candidate that can do the best for them and represent their views in Parliament.
It's incredibly important we have this kind of conversation so that narrative builds, so people hear what you have to say, and other people can, chime in as well and agree with that, because I also have my view that probably agrees with you about representation, also about having a say, and residents and local members, etc. But Joseph, that's all we have time for today. Thank you so much for your time. Great to see what you're doing, and hopefully see more in a bigger, more impactful level.
Well, thank you, Ade. Thank you for the time. It's been fantastic. Thanks for the opportunity.
Amazing.
Take care.